Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our spoiler review for Shadow and Bone that has now aired on Netflix. We've done a trailer reaction for it, and upon seeing that trailer, we immediately were like very intrigued. And from the trailer, we learned that it's based on the, I don't even want to call it just the book because it's several. The books, the saga, the series, the Grishaverse by Lee Bardugo.
And it sounds like, there are many different books that talk about different aspects of this world. And I liked how they kind of blend, so from what I've heard, the different elements of all of the books.
Yeah, so far in season 1, we don't know if we're going to get a season 2. I would like to think so. It's very popular, and I think the fans are going to be like, why aren't you giving us a season 2? So I think that announcement probably will come sooner rather than later. But season 1 does include both book 1, which is Shadow and Bone, as well as one of the books from the duology, Six of Crow, which I find very interesting, and that's what's kind of really intriguing. And I had this back and forth with myself of, because I got a lot of recommendations from you guys if I should, one, read the book before the show, and two, do I start with Shadow and Bone? Do I start with Six of Crow? And it was kind of like, you should read, there was a lot of votes, honestly, for Six of Crow.
Oh,
there was
so
a lot
out of all
to
of them,
start
it's
that
almost
first.
like Six of Crows a little bit more popular.
Yeah, there's just a lot of fans out there, so by the time I had asked for recommendation, I actually pulled the trigger and purchased Shadow and Bone already. So I was like, you know what, the show, it looks like it's based on that, with Alina Starkov and everything, so why don't I start with that, and then once I'm done with that, instead of jumping into book 2, I'll jump into Six of Crow, and then I'll jump back to book 2. So that's where we're at, and Dustin and I are completely obsessed with the show. We think the cast is fantastic. We think the set and the costume design and the makeup is fantastic. We love the writing. And mostly we are in love with Ben Barnes as the Darkling. Perfect casting.
No, he does fit that framework very well for that character. And he's also being able to pull off this charm and this charisma, but still have that dark, shadowy kind of persona. And then when he does finally make his transformation into a villain, I think he's able to pull off that kind of... he's able to pull off some pretty good, one-liners and cheesy lines that very, very well.
Technically could have been real cheesy if it wasn't delivered right, but with
yes.
I don't know if it's the very dark eyes and the dark hair that just makes, and the costume and his, the way he holds himself makes it believable, because he did something similar with Jigsaw in The Punisher.
Yeah.
Where, and and also, both of these characters kind of have similar paths, as in, well, maybe not exactly quite similar, because I think Jigsaw wasn't really set out to be a villain until what happened to him happened with the face. Well, then he went full-fledged, he went full villain. Maybe he was at
Well, even the Darkling has a very sympathetic kind of story. He's seen his entire race being just annihilated and wiped out because that they have their powers, and that there'll always kind of be either hunted, or there'll be people that hate them. Kind of, a little bit of parallel with X-Men. But one thing that I really do love about what we got in Shadow and Bone, we only got a very small portion of this world. We only got to really look at one country, and then we know of 2 other countries. But we have no idea how huge this world is. And they really did a good job on kind of making it so this was very focused and very kind of this is just what's happening in this country. And they left everything else to be ooh, I wonder how they could expand and grow this universe.
Yeah, and especially this show, I wouldn't say it was politic heavy. Certain aspects of it was, and why they wanted, especially now with the discovery of the Sun Summoner, when Alina finally kind of came into, kind of accidentally used her power, I guess, to talk about her power in Alina for just a bit. So in the show, I haven't gotten to this portion in the book. So in the show, when they were tested for Grisha, she had made sure she cut her hand so she felt the pain in it, and so she wouldn't, if she was Grisha, she wouldn't be found out, because she didn't want to be apart from, she wouldn't be, taken away from Mel, which I found so dearing. I'm still in the process of reading the book, so like don't spoil the book part for me if it's not the same. But I do enjoy seeing that little addition, because I thought that like they just hid from all the different episodes that they were saying they just hid, so they actually didn't get tested, but she technically was. And I felt that that's why that scar was so important to her, and she touched it to kind of like remember and feel connected to Mel, until she finally was like, you know what, I got taken away. He probably isn't even thinking of me, because like she was writing him every day and she wasn't receiving any letters from him, when it was just neither one of them were getting each other's letters. So they had this like misunderstanding of like, oh, she's better than me now. She's the sun summoner. Look at this lush life she lives. And she's thinking, oh, he's probably found another girl, blah, 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 blah. Until they met up, and there was this whole thing. And by then, to kind of ease the pain, she actually had Genya erase the scar, which I was like, no, don't do it. You don't know, hold on to it.
That is actually something that they did a pretty good job on balancing on a line with this show, is being either a little too YA young adult or going kind of more of the mature route. And I think they did a very good a job of walking that line to where it wasn't too kiddie-ish, like, a little too melodramatic. And it also just wasn't too serious.
Yes.
Kind of a thing. So I think they did a really good job on making sure that even though it does kind of qualify as YA material, it still tells a good story. It still tells, you kind of understand what the characters are going through. Mm-hmm. And I just think it was a really good way of taking this YA novel. Is it technically classified as young adult?
I think so.
Kind of like the Twilight?
I believe so, but like more mature.
Yeah.
Than
where the Twilight had
I don't want to bash on another author, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
I want to say... Nope.
Well, whereas I just think that this did an amazing job of just giving us a good, interesting love story.
Yes, and also just as a caveat, I have read all the Twilight books, and I do love them. So don't take it and be like, oh, she hates Twilight. I don't love the movies that much, but I do love the books. Mm-hmm. Anyways, back to Shadow and Bone. What I also really loved was obviously the inclusion of Six of Crows in the story there, because technically, so far in where I am in Shadow of Bone, I think I've read up to the part where they're at the Winter Fete. Like, she had just finished her little demonstration and stuff like that. So in the book, it does not mention Kaz or Jesper or Inej, because those paths technically don't really cross, but they made it cross in the show, which I find really interesting, because that trio, and I know they started out as kind of like, Kaz, a little villain, has really wanted to kidnap the Sun Summoner, amongst other things. But I find that grouping and their set of skills and their relationship so interesting that I want so much more from them. So I'm actually really happy that we got to see them in season 1 as opposed to having to wait for season 2.
And I love, that is what really does carry the show, are the characters. The characters and the actors they got to play them. I loved every minute with the Six of Crows. Each one of their characters have an interesting story. They have amazing little quirks to them that just make you want to love them even more. And even though technically they are bad guys, they are criminals, you still just want to cheer for them. You want to, the way they just have this charisma that ooze out of the group to where they're like perfectly formed. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want these guys to win, even if they're doing something bad.
And especially the way they teamed up at the end when they are, being taken into the fold after the incident with the stag. And mm-hmm. now Alina's kind of, she's chained to the ship. And the Darkling has revealed his true intention. And now she's got this, neck horn thing coming out of her. And, everybody's in the same place at once. And it was just crazy to see what happens with that entire group and the outcome. And I do love seeing a little bit of that team up, and of course the aftermath between the two groups. Also, I love the relationship, and I'm blanking on all the names today because I haven't eaten all day, so that's not good. Don't do that. But Matthias and so the soldier and the Heartrender.
Yes.
I love seeing their relationship. My heart broke in a million pieces when she thinks that this was her plan all along and he hates her now. And I was like, no, this was not that. Like, she didn't see that coming, that she was going to be found, and she did what she could, what she thought was best at the moment to kind of save the both of them and get them away from Grisha, because like that was like not what she wanted. And if she had gone with them, like for sure, like everybody there probably would have died.
Yeah, I love that standoff though that they had.
Oh, it was
You're
so
just like
good.
You see all the Grisha just have their powers ready, and then the doesn't match a gun kind of a thing.
Right.
That
so,
tense Mexican standoff kind of a thing.
Wow, it was absolutely amazing. So I just based on that sing along and their unfinished story, I need a season 2. But there's so much more, because at the end we see, you know, we saw the Darkling. Obviously, like, there's no way like he was gonna die in book 1, but we weren't sure. And I love that they, you know, kind of he comes out of the fold. And also, just a quick sidebar, love seeing that Alina really came into her power, really kind of have a, especially after her true encounter with the stag, coming into her power and knowing how to manipulate the light. I love seeing that for her, so I can't wait to see how else she's going to use her power and grow as a Grisha in season 2, if we get it. But, you know, the Darkling walking out of the fold, saying the word follow.
And he has those scars.
The scars. Saying the word follow, and you just see these, like, dark, you know, figures and creatures kind of walk out, and you're like, wait, what is about to happen? Because it was a pretty devastating scene. Like, they decimated, like, an entire city or town. Yeah. You know, because of what he did. So, definitely, like, 110%, like, bloomed into it. Not that he wasn't already, like, but bloomed into a villain. He masked it pretty well, I was gonna say, because I was maybe halfway through the show, I was like, oh, am I Team Darklina? I might be Team Darklina. But then the second Mal showed up, I was like, no, I gotta have these two together. They're just so sweet. Cute. They're childhood friends. They're BFFs. I gotta have them together. So I love where the series left off.
I do wish that they would have actually kind of finally sparked that, like, officially started that romantic relationship between the two of them. To where there was either a kiss or something like that to say, I've always loved you.
I mean, and I could be totally wrong because I haven't got to that part in the book yet, but, like, potentially that's where, you know, we'll get in season 2. Yeah. Potentially.
Because they'll be off in the wilderness alone with nobody else around.
No
and nothing but a warm fire to keep their body from freezing.
You want to go and write an YA
yes! Now? No, like, I've got it all down. I'm going to make this story
do your own fanfic of Melina.
A little bit more A than Y.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, those are our thoughts. Any final thoughts before we wrap?
I think this is a great show. Definitely worth the binge. Definitely check it out. It's so much fun. The characters are fun. The actors playing the characters do an amazing job. I love the world. We can tell that it's just the beginning, and I hope that even like later on, if there's more books, they expand the world more. We find out more Grisha kind of a thing,
and maybe ones like that are undiscovered, like different kinds of powers. You know,
very true.
So you guys, that's it for the spoiler review. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.